Welcome to the channel. It's Almighty Dan and I'm back again. Now yesterday, if you watched the video, we focused on their team picking strategy for our dynasty. Today the focus is going to be on recruiting because it's a very big part of the dynasty if you actually want to build a dominant team. But first things first, I want to shout out to all the new subscribers out there that's here for that College Football 25, and I want to give y'all a big salute because I know we've been waiting on this game for a very long time, and our time is coming. Now, yesterday I broke it down to you about the coach archetypes and abilities you want to have. And I mentioned to you that you're going to want to have a recruiter on your staff. Now, as a head coach, I'm going tactician. But as my coordinators, I would like to have a recruiter. And as you can see, there are different abilities and different levels you can unlock of abilities as well. You have a recruiter there, and then you have elite recruiter at the bottom, which will give you enhanced abilities when it comes to recruiting. Now, if you look on your right hand side in this example, you can see there are different tiers for your abilities. And in the running game example, which focuses on recruiting for running back, you can see tier 1 is an advanced look. Running back takes less time to fully scout, but by the time you get to tier 4, if you upgrade it all the way, increased starting interest from running backs, so you'll be able to get more interest from running backs wanting to come to your program. And I'm sure this will be available for different positions as well. Also, keep in mind, you can only upgrade your abilities as a coach. You can't upgrade the coordinators, as they would be done automatically. So it's important to choose coordinators that align with your style of play and with your style of recruiting. Now, in the My School tab, you can see the 14 different categories that matter to recruits and what grades your school has those categories at. Now, if you are lacking in a specific area that's very important to a recruit, that may cost you the opportunity to get that recruit, but there will be opportunities to improve in certain categories outside of academics, which you can't change, and I believe campus lifestyle, which you can't change as well. But there will be opportunities. So you do want to focus on ways to improve in that align with the interest of the recruits that you are targeting. Now, of course, when it comes to team sports, you're only as strong as your weakest links. So you are going to want to prioritize what positions you need more. Maybe some of those positions you feel like aren't as strong. But if there is an opportunity to get an elite talent, sometimes you go for the best available player, even if you already have a solid player there, if the talent is just that undeniably, ridiculously good. Like, for example, if you got a chance to get a Reggie Bush or a Cam Newton over just some very solid interior lineman, I would definitely recommend going for the elite Reggie Bush, Cam Newton, Hall of Fame college player. Now, the very first stage in recruiting is the discovery stage. In this stage, you'll be able to scout players, learn their abilities, learn more about their attributes, and more importantly, learn information about them so that you can craft the pitch and get them to come to your school to make your program better. Now, it is important to know that when it comes to recruiting, bigger schools have more recruiting hours to allocate than smaller schools. So if you're a smaller school, a smaller program, you need to allocate your hours more efficiently, more effectively. Now, while North Carolina is not a small school, they only have 800 recruiting hours, but I have seen recruiting hours up to 1,000 so far. And you will only be able to have 35 targets that you can select for prospects that you want to target. Now, doing some simple math, you can see that if you have up to 35 targets and if you give them about 10 hours apiece, that would be 350 hours. So for these smaller schools who have less time, it's important in the discovery phase to if a recruit is not interested in what you have to offer, then move on and focus on who has more interest to your program and that you are more likely to sign, because slow motion is better than no motion, and you don't want to miss out on a recruiting class when you can get some solid players just trying to go from some very elite high players, especially if you're at a small school. Now, if you're at a bigger school, your opportunities of recruiting bigger players are definitely going to increase. Now, once you begin scouting, there are 4 states of scouting. You can go from unscouted, from not knowing anything, to fully scouted, to which you know everything about a player and know exactly how good that player is going to be coming into college. Now, you can see this player is fully scouted. You can see all of his attributes. You can see his mental traits. And if you look at the hours above in the top right-hand corner, you can see it's now at 580. In the first screenshot, it was at about 600. So you pretty much lost about 20 hours scouting this player, looking like to try to get him fully scouted. Now, as you're selecting targets from your prospect list, it's important to stay in their top 8, top 5, their top teams, because if you fall out of their top teams that they're suggesting, then you won't have the ability to sign them and proceed to continue to go after them. Now, also, if they have a deal breaker, meaning that there is a must-have for them, and if your program does not offer that recruit that, they will not come to your program. And even if you do get them to commit, If you don't follow through with their deal breaker, they will decommit to your program and sign somewhere else. So this is very important to keep in note as well, so that you're not wasting time on certain recruits due to deal breakers you don't have. And if you fall out of their top 8, top 5, top 3 teams, because then they're not interested in you anymore and they're likely going to go somewhere else to sign. Now, you also have 5 recruiting actions below that will help you learn more about a player and craft a pitch to try to get them to come to your program. Now, you could offer them a scholarship that will definitely show that you're very interested in the player. You can search their social media to learn more information about them. You can DM the player to build a relationship and gain some influence. You can also build relationships with the family and friends, make some phone calls to them so you can learn some more information and get more influence for that player. You can also send the house, sending everybody from the coaching staff to try to get as much influence on this player as possible to try to get them to come to your program, especially if it's an elite player. If it's an elite player, I definitely recommend sitting the house if you feel like you have a reasonable chance of actually getting that player to come play for your program. Now, the good thing is you'll get weekly updates and you'll know where you stand with certain schools if athletes are committing to your school, if you're still in their top 3, still in their top 5, or if you fall out of their top 5, their top 8, or they commit somewhere else, you will know so you can rearrange and move your focus to other athletes and other recruits or players that are still interested in coming to play for your program. Now, stage 2 is very important. It's the pitch. You take what you learned in the discovery stage of stage 1 and you craft a pitch that aligns with their motivations. Now, if you craft a pitch that misaligns with their motivations, then it's a good chance that you could lose out on getting that recruit. So it's very important that when you do choose a pitch, you choose the right one, and there will be 2 types you could choose from. As you can see in this screenshot, Michigan is recruiting this player. They're still in the top 5. On the right-hand side, the action summary, the soft sell pitches to the house is working. The soft sell pitch to the prove yourself is working. And the scholarship gave a bit of influence as well. So they still have a good chance, a good shot of getting this player. Maybe they want to go with a bigger sell, with a bigger pitch to try to get this 5-star left outside linebacker. Now, you have the 2 pitches, soft sell and hard sell. Soft sell will give you a moderate amount of influence for a smaller risk to the downside. Hard sell will give you a lot of influence if you choose the correct pitch, but it comes with a larger downside if it is incorrect. But if you're desperate and you feel like you need a Hail Mary at a recruit and you're at your final attempt to try to get this player, then you should just go for the hard sell and go all out if you really want that player to try to come to your program, because who knows what could happen. Maybe it could possibly work out for you. Here you can see is Alabama doing some recruiting, and as you can see, they have 1,000 hours of time so they can send to recruit players, which is more than we saw in North Carolina earlier. And you can also see on the right hand side for players what's important to them and where your team aligns with those abilities as well. As far as the question marks goes, you likely need to do some more scouting so you can get more information on the player so you can craft the right pitch. So this is where you want to reference at and get some information after you're done scouting to see what's actually important to this player in regards to interest. On the other side of the coin, players will leave. Now, some may get drafted, some may graduate, but if you are not keeping their interest in mind of why you got them to sign there in the first place, whether it's playing style, playing time, or any of those deal breakers, they will hit that transfer portal and be looking to play for another team. So if you want to keep certain players, keep those interests in mind when you're recruiting certain players. If you have a running back that's very, very good and he wants to get a lot of playing time, and you're recruiting a running back that's also pretty good and wants to get a lot of playing time, maybe you focus on another position. Maybe you focus on another quarterback, another lineman, another receiver. This leads us to stage 3, the close. This is where you have to finish the deal. You have to offer a scholarship and you have to bring them in for an official visit. Now, you need to be strategic with your visits, because when you have a game, it's a very hype game. If you're winning, the environment of the game does matter when you schedule these visits. So keep that in mind. Now, you can do it on a bye week, but that's not going to be as impactful as doing it on a big game week. With all of this being said, just because they commit does not mean they can't decommit, because you need them to sign. So until they sign, it's not official. So you got to close the deal. You got to get them to sign in your school if you want to build that dynasty up. And I'm confident that after watching this video, you'll have more insight on what to do and how to proceed and get these recruits to sign. So if you enjoyed this video, y'all be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn notifications on. Until next time, Dynasty out.